Yes, you should absolutely train to failure, and not just for like 1 or 2 sets or like the last set of the entire set. No matter what anybody says, you should train to failure for every single set you ever do in the gym. This is an example of what training to failure looks like. So maintaining form, as always, making sure it's nice and slow on the way down, and then strong on the way up, fast on the way up, pause at the bottom and at the top for half a second pause, and then straight down again. And no kipping, no throwing your body around or anything like that. No, nice and control on the exact muscle you are trying to train. When you start throwing the weight around and being stupid just to get like an extra bit of muscle interaction, no, you are training other muscles. You are engaging your lats, you're using momentum, gravity, you're taking the emphasis off the bicep that you are supposed to be training. So focus completely on destroying, tearing apart this bicep, nothing else. Like little nerds online will say, actually we need like 1 rep in reserve or what. No, you don't. No, you don't. You need to focus this exact muscle, nothing else, and train that to failure, because that is why you're doing the set. You are trying to burn out this muscle. So you can see here, I'm getting right to the end, and I'm not kipping, I'm not throwing my arm around and doing some like acrobatics or anything like that, right? I'm training the bicep. You can see it's just the bicep until it cannot move anymore. That is when it is finished. That is when I have reached failure. My muscle that I am training cannot move. It is finished. And the reason you need to train to failure for absolutely, I cannot stress this enough, every single set you do in the gym, apart from like a warm-up set, the reason is, why would your muscles grow if you don't do that? Now you can listen to all like the other people online talking about like, like 1 rep in reserve guys or whatever, and talking about like this study says, no. Think about it logically. I've realized for everything, even like including diet, we just need to think about things logically, because every study can be funded. Because for every study that proves our point, there will always be a study that proves someone else's point. So studies, I believe, are pretty useless. You need to try this yourself, be your own experiment. You don't even need to listen to me. Just train to failure for every single set, and you'll realize that you will make a ridiculous amount of progress in comparison to not training to failure. And then just think about it logically. If you can already lift the weight, say for example you train like 8 reps, for example, on bicep curl with a weight that you can already do and you don't go to failure, right? So you're lifting it, you get to the 8th rep and it starts to hurt a little bit, but it's, you can lift it and you put it down. That's what I did when I first started training. That's what a lot of people do, right? Because they don't understand training to failure. So I was just like lifting my bicep curls, like looking around, talking to my mate while I was doing the exercise, get to 8 reps because 8 to 12 is optimal, guys, and then I put it down. If my muscle can already lift the weight, why would it need to grow? But if you're consistently lifting a weight that you cannot lift, your muscle is giving out, it cannot lift this weight. If you're training to failure, if you are doing this consistently, multiple times a week, for months, for years, then your muscle's like, hang about, I cannot lift this and we are consistently doing this, so I have to grow. I have to grow in order to be able to lift this weight, right? Because if your muscles are doing it every single week, then it's like, I'm being really damaged by this weight, it's really hurting me, so I need to get bigger so that I can lift this weight, otherwise it's going to continue to hurt me. But then obviously you keep increasing the weight, progressive overload, and you never really stop that cycle. But that is exactly how muscles work. If you can already lift the weight, then there's no reason for them to grow. So train till failure, so your muscle, not when you're like swinging like this and doing like a little dance or anything, when you train the muscle, the exact muscle until it fails consistently. That doesn't mean like you train to failure every other week and then, one time you skip the gym here, then you skip the gym there, and then maybe I'll go on Tuesday. No, if you do it at the exact same time every single week, on the exact same days, and train to failure every single time for every single set, then your muscle will be forced to grow. Sometimes I do this by, say for example, I'm stuck on like a certain bicep curl weight. I just up the weight, even though I cannot get to this weight. I can't go to the 14 kgs. I've been stuck on 12s for a year. Maybe I'll just up the weight and then suddenly I can just start doing them because I'm forcing the muscle to grow. I'm forcing that adaptation, because you can force your body to adapt. Just like in the caveman days or whatever, if we had to suddenly adapt to a different environment, we just have to. regardless of whether we wanted to or not. We just have to, and it's the same with your muscles. And you can have, like, you know, other people can come across this video and comment it and say, actually, this one study from Alexander the Great said this, right? No. This is how it works. You can adapt, and you will adapt, and your muscles will adapt to this pain. So you need to go through this pain in order to grow. That is absolutely essential. If you do not train to failure, then I have just lost all respect for you. I see some people in the gym and they're doing like one bicep curl, you know, and they put it down and then they're like, oh yeah, that was a difficult set. No, you weren't. You need to pull faces like this, like you're about to die, like, you know, you've got to put everything into it. You need to have like some old bloke some old woman in the corner saying, that doesn't look very safe. I had this one guy come over to me once and said, you shouldn't train that hard because it can hurt your muscles and stuff. And he was like overweight, and I was actually stubborn and said, no, actually, this is how you train. I basically explained what I just said, but in like a nicer tone. And then another personal trainer came over me, like the person who worked there, and he congratulated me. He said, well done for sticking up for yourself. And I was like, well, I just know what's right, right? So if you're listening to someone online who's just doing like, you know, actually 3 sets of 4 to 12 reps is absolutely fantastic, and don't go to failure on this set, but do go to failure on this set. No. Go to failure on everything, otherwise your muscles will have no reason to grow. Train like an animal. I want you to be that noisy guy in the gym who's like every rep he's going, but he's not putting it on. You're the guy who actually needs to make those noises because of how hard you're training. Train to failure. And if you want personal advice from me so that I can help you implement these steps from these videos into your real life and give you one-to-one help, then in my school community, you will have full access to me 24/7. So you can DM me just like one of my members has here, and he's asking for advice, and I can give him personalized advice that he can straight away implement into his life so he can get the desired result and goals that he wants. And also he gets full access to all of these courses, including bonus courses that I have here, which are essentially just advanced education. So you're getting education from this video, you're getting the advanced education in here, and you're getting the personal one-on-one advice from me, so it doesn't feel like you're going into the gym blind. You know exactly what you need to do from these courses, and then if you've got any extra problems or extra questions, then you can message me and I will give you a solution to that. And to get access to all of that is the first link in the description. I will see you over there. Good night.